Hey guys, welcome back. So today we are wrapping up our time with the Sega Genesis and the Sega CD. So I've got a number of games to go through, and we're going to start with Sega Genesis and then finish off with Sega CD. And we are starting off with Comic Zone. This is a game that I rented. Being a fan of comic books, I found the premise very interesting, that your character gets like warped or stuck inside this comic book and you have to fight enemies and you go through the panels and you pick which way you want to go. Challenging game. I can get farther in it now than when I could as a kid, but I still find the game to be pretty challenging, but very cool concept. Cool spot. At some point after my brother got his Genesis, my stepsister got one. And we went to my dad's one weekend, and she had a copy of Cool Spot. And I kind of just dismissed it at first because I was like, really? They made a game with the Spot from the 7-Up commercials? That's got to be dumb. No, this game's pretty fun. It's a nice little solid platformer, and Spot shoots projectiles at enemies. I don't know what the projectiles are, but fun game. And kind of like Rescue Rangers, you have a character who's small and you're controlling them in a world that we would find like normal sized. So you now find yourself interacting with objects that to us are a size that we're normally used to, but then to these characters they could be huge. And I don't know, for whatever reason, I just like that in a game. I find it interesting. Disney's Aladdin. So this is a game that I played at Chris's house. I don't remember if he owned it or we rented it, but I specifically remember playing it at his house, and we were both very excited to play it. The visuals in this game just blew us away. It looked like they took the movie, digitized it, and made a game out of it. Like, we hadn't seen visuals represented so closely from like a property like a Disney property or a Marvel property or a DC property, where it really looked, like they took the movie and put it into the game. Like it just blew us away, and that's the main reason we played it. I mean, we liked Aladdin, and we liked platformers and whatnot, but the graphics and the animation and the way the animation moves so smoothly, it really drew us in, and we both had a really good time playing this game. Jurassic Park. This was a game that we owned, and like think I had mentioned before, during this time frame, you could have a game like Jurassic Park come out on multiple consoles, and it could be a different gameplay experience on each console. So like the Super Nintendo one was kind of like this overhead kind of isometric view, and then it went to first person when you went into buildings. This version of Jurassic Park is a side scroller, but you get to play as Dr. Grant and you get to play as the Raptor, and that was really cool. Like the idea of being able to control a Raptor and go through the game, experience the game as a Raptor, that was really cool. I beat it both ways. The game is okay, it has its flaws, but I really did enjoy this one when I played it as a kid. RoboCop versus Terminator. So this was an interesting one. I remember seeing this at the rental store and thinking, oh my God, they have RoboCop versus Terminator? They took two of my favorite franchises and pitted them against each other and made a game out of it. And I don't think I knew at the time. Well, I might have. Dark Horse printed like Aliens versus Predator. I think they did Batman versus Aliens. Maybe they did RoboCop versus Terminator. I honestly do not know. But I just remember seeing this game thinking, oh man, I want to play that. And really had a really good time with it. The Genesis version is my favorite out of the two between the Super Nintendo and the Genesis. The music's kind of goofy. There's this person that keeps saying Terminator. But the game is much more gory, and that, of course, drew us into it because we were teenagers. And you will shoot enemies, and they just kind of blow up into a splat of blood. Or when there's a guy shooting from a window, you'll shoot him, and like this blood splatter will be left on the window. Like as a kid, we were just like, "Oh, that's so cool!" But really enjoyable game. Rocket Knight Adventures. So I mentioned in a previous video that typically I rented movies at my dad's, rated R movies, and games at my mom's. This is the one instance where I rented a game at my dad's. We were at the grocery store and I was looking at the wall of games and I saw the cover art for Rocket Knight Adventures and I was like, huh, what's this? And so I flip it over and I look at the pictures on the back and the visuals are very impressive. And I saw it was a Konami game. And as a kid and now, my favorite third-party developer back during the NES and the 16-bit era, it's Konami. You know, I love Contra and Castlevania, and when I saw that game and saw it was a Konami game, I was like, ooh, I should check this out. And it did not disappoint. I rented it, you know, and had a blast. And when I started collecting games again in the early 2000s, this was an early purchase for me. Shinobi 3: Return of the Ninja Master. So this is a game that I played at Luke's house. He owned it. I had no idea it existed. I went over there for an overnight and he showed it to me. And holy cow, was I impressed. You know, I had played a little bit of Shinobi in the arcade on a vacation trip and walked away with the feeling of, well, that game was okay. I looked at this game and I saw the visuals and then I finally got a chance to play it and oh man, I had so much fun. The double jump is a little weird. Once you get used to it, it's, you know, it's passable, it's serviceable. But yeah, I remember going over there and us playing this game, you know, from beginning to end and really great game. Wrapping up our games for the Sega Genesis is Sonic 3. So Sonic 3 is a game that I played at my house. One of my brother's friends, his name was Sean, he had the game and he brought it over and I remember being excited because I really liked Sonic 2 and I was like, oh cool, a new Sonic game. But I was kind of left disappointed. I lost interest in the game very quickly because it kind of felt like more of the same. I really do think it was a good idea when Super Mario Brothers, you know, our Super Mario Brothers 2 version was so different from the first game, and then the third game is, you know, improved upon and different from the first two, and it kept the series fresh. And then, like, they nailed it out of the park with Super Mario Brothers 3, and then Super Mario World was like a more polished version of that. And I enjoyed my time with Sonic 3, but I just really felt like, oh, it's like the same thing. Like, I think as a kid, I was expecting there to be more of a change because that's what I was used to on the Nintendo and playing Super Mario Brothers. So Sean brought that game over and I played it that weekend and that's really about it. Like, I had my fill. I'm like, okay, it's basically the same as Sonic 2. It's not. Like, there's differences to it, but there wasn't enough of a difference to it to really impress me. So I kind of felt like, well, that's a bummer. I was really looking forward to that game. Still, I play it now. It's a great game. I really do like it. Okay, moving on to Sega CD. Starting off with Jurassic Park. So this game is a point and click adventure game, and I really, really liked it. I don't remember where I first played it. I almost kind of feel like Chris had it, or he rented it, and then I bought a copy for myself. But I played through the game multiple times as a kid, and I really thoroughly enjoyed it. And Jurassic Park was this amazing movie when it came out. It still is an amazing movie, but we had never seen dinosaurs represented that way on screen before. I'd seen The Land Before Time. I had seen artist renditions of dinosaurs in books, but when you first see a dinosaur in that movie, and Dr. Grant and Ellie are like in shock. Like, that's the way I was in the theater. When I saw that image on the screen, I was like, oh my God, that looks real. And so Jurassic Park was this big, huge thing, and I wanted to play Jurassic Park any way that I could. So I really liked that all the games were different, and I really enjoyed my time with all of them. But yeah, good game. RDF, Global Conflict. So this game is a tank simulator. Nothing really to write home about. It was the first tank simulator that I ever played. But the one thing about the game that makes it memorable is here on the cover, it mentions that there's this like free giveaway where you can get this remote control tank. So for whatever reason, I decided to enter that. I remember not really having an interest in wanting a remote control tank. I was just kind of like, whatever, what the hell. I totally forgot about it. And like 6 to 8 weeks later, this beat up box shows up at our house and it's the remote control tank. And I was like, oh my God, I actually got one? And I can't remember if they mentioned how many tanks they had to give away, but I remember thinking that, wow, I must be like the only person that bought this game or the only person that like entered the contest because I never win anything. And here I actually won this tank. And they like slapped a shipping label on it and shipped it out. And I'm not kidding. Like the box was all beat up and had packing tape on it to repair it. Like, I don't know if they got like a bunch of free tanks and we're like, hey, we got all these free tanks we got to get rid of. Like, just do a promotion to get rid of them. I played with it a little bit and then I got rid of it. Because like I said, I really wasn't interested in it. I just thought, like, what the hell? I'll enter this thing. It's the last contest, like, giveaway thing that I entered and ever won anything. All right, so this next game, Rise of the Dragon. So this is a game that I played at Chris's house. He owned it. He had the cardboard box version of the game. And this is one of the 3 games that I credit to me becoming interested in Cyberpunk. This game, Snatcher, and Shadowrun. And I really, really enjoyed my time with this game. This was another early purchase. When I repurchased a Model 2 Sega CD, I got Snatcher and I got this game very quickly. And I don't really know what to say about it. It's a point and click adventure game. It's got spoken dialogue in it. The visuals are pretty good, but I don't know. I like the story. I like the environment of cyberpunk games. I just post-apocalyptic games and cyberpunk games, I really like those settings. And I really like this game. The main character is voiced by the same guy who voiced Leonardo in the animated Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon when I was a kid, which is kind of weird when I play it. I'm like, that's Leonardo. Road Avenger. This was a game that I rented. I had played other Laserdisc-based games like Dragon's Lair, and this one just looked interesting. I was interested in cars, and you drive this car in some crazy places, like on a dock and inside of a hotel, I think it is. And I had a really good time with it. Like Dragon's Lair, it tells you to do a button command or a directional input on the D-pad, and you do it, and you progress through the game. It's got a very memorable like main theme song. I don't know, it's great. Wing Commander. This was a game that I played at Chris's house. It was the summer of '94, and I played 2 space combat simulators that summer. The other one we'll talk about later, and that was really my first introduction to that genre of game, and I really, really liked it. Not a whole lot to say about the game. I seem to remember the controller being maybe overcomplicated, like numerous button combinations and D-pad and button combinations to be able to, control and activate all the actions of the ship because it was a PC game being ported over to the Sega CD. But I really did enjoy the game quite a bit playing it at his house. Okay, so we got a few of our full motion video games left. I just kind of grouped them all together because they basically all play the same. You're moving an aiming reticle around on the screen and shooting things. So we're going to start this off with Corpse Killer. Not much to say about the game. I don't even really remember the story. There's some sort of doctor, and I don't know. He's like reanimating dead people, and you got to go in there and like take him out. Like I said, there's not a whole lot of depth to these games. There really isn't a whole lot of story either, and they're kind of cheesy, which now I look back and I like. I have very fond memories of playing these games. But, but I wouldn't say they're the best games. Ground Zero, Texas. So in this game, like aliens crash land or aliens have invaded this small town and you're sent in as part of this team to take them out, and you're like sitting at your computer station and there's all these turrets placed around town that have cameras on them, and like whenever you go to a new section of town, it plays like this little cutscene with someone who's on your team who's like undercover, like doing something, and then all of a sudden the aliens show up that look like humans and you have to use your little turret thing to take them out. Okay, wrapping up our full motion video games is Tomcat Alley. So again, interested in the military, big fan of the F-14 Tomcat. This game I enjoyed. The company that made this game also made Midnight Raiders, and I feel like Tomcat Alley is a much better done game. I played both. I rented both back when I was a kid, and maybe it's because I had more of an interest in fighter jets than I did attack helicopters, but going back and playing these games, Tomcat Alley I feel is very it's better done. And I really did enjoy my time with it, and when I found it like in I don't know, 2005 and it's like $3, how can you say no to that? So it's been in my collection since then. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.